Maxwell Graham parked his sleek black car in front of the small diner called Home Plate. It was not the kind of place anyone would expect to find one of the richest men in America. The red brick building with its faded sign stood between a laundromat and a discount shoe store on the outskirts of Houston. Maxwell checked his watch. They were right on time. "Ready for lunch, buddy?" Maxwell asked, turning to look at his son in the back seat. Ethan Graham nodded with a small smile. At 23 years old, Ethan had lived with cerebral palsy his entire life. His body didn't always cooperate with his wishes, but his mind was sharp and his eyes revealed a keen intelligence that Maxwell had always cherished. Today, Ethan was seated in his specialized wheelchair, a tablet computer mounted to one side that helped him communicate. Maxwell's driver, Frank, came around to help get Ethan's wheelchair out of the car. Maxwell could have afforded a full-time nurse to accompany them, but Ethan had insisted on just having lunch with his dad today. No extras, no fuss. "I'll be back in an hour and a half, sir," Frank said, getting back into the driver's seat. Maxwell nodded and pushed Ethan's chair toward the entrance. "Just us today, like you wanted," he said quietly. The bell above the door jingled as they entered the diner. The smell of coffee and fried food filled the air. A few customers looked up briefly before returning to their meals. This was exactly why Maxwell had chosen this place. No one here would recognize him. At his usual restaurants, people would whisper and point, sometimes asking for photos or trying to pitch business ideas. Here, he could just be a father having lunch with his son. A young woman with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail approached them with menus. "Welcome to Home Plate," she said with a genuine smile. Her name tag read, Lily. "Table for two?" "Yes, please," Maxwell replied. "Somewhere with a bit of space for the wheelchair, if possible." "Sure thing," Lily said. "The corner booth has a removable chair. Will that work?" Maxwell nodded, appreciating that she had addressed him normally without the awkward pauses or overly sympathetic looks that often came when people saw Ethan. He pushed Ethan's wheelchair after Lily as she led them to a corner booth by the window. Lily smoothly removed one of the chairs. "Here we go," she said, stepping back to make room for Ethan's wheelchair. She placed menus on the table and looked directly at Ethan. "Can I start you off with something to drink?" Maxwell was about to answer for his son, as he often did out of habit, but Ethan was already using his tablet. His fingers moved carefully across the screen, and the electronic voice spoke. "Lemonade, please." "Great choice," Lily said, nodding at Ethan as if this was the most normal conversation in the world. "We make it fresh here. And for you, sir?" "Just water for now," Maxwell said, watching the interaction with interest. "I'll be right back with those drinks," Lily said before walking away. Maxwell leaned forward. "This place has good reviews online," he said. "The burgers are supposed to be excellent." Ethan nodded, looking around the diner with interest. It was busy but not packed. The walls were decorated with old license plates and vintage advertisements. Through the window, they could see people walking by, going about their normal Tuesday afternoon. Lily returned with their drinks. As she placed the lemonade in front of Ethan, her arm bumped his water glass, sending it tipping toward his lap. In one quick motion, she caught it before more than a few drops could spill. "Wow, nice save," Maxwell said. "Years of practice." Lily laughed, quickly wiping up the small spill with a cloth. "I'm so sorry about that. Good thing I wasn't carrying coffee, right?" She smiled at Ethan, who was grinning at her quick reflexes. Ethan typed on his tablet again. "No harm done," the electronic voice said. "Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?" Lily asked. Maxwell looked at Ethan, who nodded. "I think we're ready," Maxwell said. "I'll have the classic burger with fries." Lily wrote it down and then turned to Ethan. "And for you?" Ethan's fingers moved across his tablet. The synthetic voice said, "Grilled cheese with tomato soup." "Excellent choice," Lily said. "That's my favorite too." She collected their menus. "I'll put these orders right in." As she walked away, Maxwell noticed how she stopped at another table where an elderly woman was struggling to read the menu. Lily patiently helped her, pointing out options and making suggestions. There was something genuine about her that Maxwell rarely encountered in his usual world of business deals and corporate meetings. While they waited for their food, Maxwell pulled out his phone. He appeared to be checking emails, but he was actually watching how the staff and other customers interacted with each other. His business success had come from understanding people and systems, seeing what worked and what didn't. This small diner ran smoothly, with Lily moving efficiently between tables, remembering details about orders without writing everything down. A few minutes later, Lily brought their food. The plates were simple, but looked delicious. "Careful. The soup is very hot," she warned Ethan, placing it slightly farther from the edge of the table. As they ate, Maxwell noticed Ethan was more relaxed than usual. In fancy restaurants, his son often felt uncomfortable with the silent judgment he perceived from others. Here, no one was paying them any special attention. "How is everything?" Lily asked, stopping by their table again. "Perfect," Maxwell said. The burger was indeed excellent. Not fancy, but well made with quality ingredients. Ethan gave a thumbs up, his mouth full of grilled cheese. "Great. Just let me know if you need anything else," Lily said before moving to help another customer. She walked away. Maxwell overheard her talking to another server near the kitchen. "Did you get those textbooks yet?" the other server asked quietly. "Not yet," Lily replied with a sigh. "I'm still short about $200, and rent is due next week. I'll pick up some extra shifts this weekend." "Engineering books are so expensive," the other server sympathized. "Worth every penny if I can finish my degree," Lily said before disappearing into the kitchen. Maxwell raised an eyebrow. So their waitress was a student. Engineering, specifically. That explained the quick thinking and problem-solving he'd observed. Ethan tapped on his tablet to get his father's attention. "She's nice," the electronic voice said. "Yes, she is," Maxwell agreed. "How's your food?" They continued eating, with Maxwell occasionally helping Ethan when needed. The simple meal in this ordinary diner was turning out to be the most pleasant lunch Maxwell had enjoyed in months. No business talk, no people asking for favors or investments, just good food and his son's company. When they finished eating, Lily brought their check. "Thanks for coming in today," she said. "I hope to see you both again soon." Ethan typed on his tablet. "We'll be back," the voice announced. Maxwell paid the bill, leaving a generous tip. As they left the diner, he made a mental note to learn more about their waitress Lily. There was something special about her, a combination of kindness, intelligence, and work ethic that had caught his attention. And Maxwell Graham never ignored potential when he saw it. 2 weeks later, Maxwell and Ethan returned to Home Plate Diner. Their first visit had gone so well that Maxwell had added it to his calendar as a regular Saturday lunch spot. They arrived just after noon, when the weekend crowd was starting to fill the small restaurant. Lily spotted them as soon as they entered. "Welcome back," she said, her face lighting up with recognition. "Same table as before?" "That would be great," Maxwell replied, guiding Ethan's wheelchair through the diner. Once they were settled, Lily brought them water without asking. "Lemonade again today?" she asked Ethan directly. Ethan nodded and typed on his tablet. "Yes, please," the electronic voice said. "I'll have iced tea," Maxwell added. As Lily walked away to get their drinks, Maxwell noticed how the diner was short-staffed today. Lily was moving quickly between tables, taking orders, delivering food, and clearing dishes. Despite being busy, she maintained a calm demeanor and friendly smile. "She works hard," Maxwell commented to Ethan, who nodded in agreement. When Lily brought their drinks, her ponytail was coming loose and a few strands of hair had escaped. "Sorry for the wait," she said. "We're down 2 servers today." "No problem at all," Maxwell assured her. "Take your time." Lily glanced at Ethan's tablet. "That's a newer model of the voice friend, isn't it? The X7? Ethan looked surprised and nodded. "My cousin uses the X5, Lily explained. "The interface on yours looks smoother," Ethan typed quickly. "It has better word prediction," the voice said. "That makes sense. The processing power in the X7 is supposed to be twice as fast," Lily replied. She turned to Maxwell. "Sorry, I'm a bit of a tech geek, engineering student. she added with a small shrug. What kind of engineering? Maxwell asked, genuinely curious. Mechanical with a focus on adaptive technologies, Lily answered. At least that's the plan. I'm still finishing core requirements at community college. Before Maxwell could respond, a crash came from across the diner. A young child had knocked over a glass, and the mother looked embarrassed as she tried to clean up the mess. Duty calls, Lily said with a smile. I'll be back to take your orders in a few minutes. Maxwell watched as Lily quickly helped clean up the spill, making the child laugh by pretending to slip on the wet floor. She turned a potentially upsetting moment into something light and humorous. It was the same skill he had noticed during their first visit, an ability to make people feel comfortable. She's good with people, Maxwell remarked to Ethan. Ethan typed on his tablet. And she knows about tech, the voice added. Maxwell nodded thoughtfully. Yes, that's unusual for a waitress. They looked over their menus, deciding to try something different this time. When Lily returned, they ordered a club sandwich for Maxwell and chicken noodle soup with a side of fries for Ethan. While they waited for their food, Ethan suddenly made a distressed noise. Maxwell looked up to see his son staring at his tablet, with frustration. The screen had frozen and the indicator lights were flashing red. What's wrong? Maxwell asked, leaning over to look at the device. He pressed a few buttons, but nothing happened. The tablet had completely locked up. Ethan's face showed growing anxiety. Without his communication device, he felt trapped. Maxwell pulled out his phone, searching for troubleshooting tips for the VoiceFriend X7. But the suggestions were complicated and would take time to try. Lily approached with their food and immediately noticed something was wrong. Is everything okay? She asked, setting the plates down carefully. His tablet crashed, Maxwell explained. It's not responding. Mind if I take a look? Lily offered. I've helped my cousin with his a few times. Maxwell hesitated briefly, but nodded. Lily washed her hands quickly at a nearby station and returned. She carefully examined the tablet, pressing a specific sequence of buttons on the side. This model has a known bug after the last software update, she explained as she worked. Sometimes the prediction engine overloads the processor when you type too quickly. She pressed and held two buttons simultaneously for 10 seconds, then tapped the corner of the screen twice. The lights stopped flashing and the screen came back to life. Ethan's face relaxed with relief as the system rebooted. Within a minute, the tablet was working again. There's a fix they released last week, Lily said. If you go into settings and then system updates, you should see it waiting to be downloaded. Maxwell was impressed. Thank you. You seem to know quite a bit about these devices. Lily shrugged. Like I said, my cousin uses one. Plus, I find them fascinating. The way they bridge the gap between thought and expression is amazing engineering. She paused, looking slightly embarrassed by her own enthusiasm. Anyway, enjoy your lunch. Let me know if you need anything else. As she walked away, Maxwell turned to Ethan. What do you think about her? Ethan typed on his now functioning tablet. She's smart. She didn't talk down to me. Maxwell nodded. I noticed that too. They ate their lunch, watching Lily move efficiently around the diner. When she had a moment between tables, she pulled out a textbook from under the counter and read a few pages, making notes in a small notebook. After they finished eating, Maxwell asked Ethan to wait at the table while he approached the counter, where Lily was totaling a bill. Excuse me, Maxwell said. I wanted to thank you again for fixing my son's tablet. No problem at all, Lily replied. Those things can be temperamental sometimes. You mentioned you're studying engineering, Maxwell continued. May I ask what year you're in? I'm finishing my second year at Houston Community College, Lily said. I'm hoping to transfer to University of Texas for their adaptive technology program, but that's still a work in progress. She glanced around to make sure no customers needed her attention. The tuition is steep and living expenses in Austin aren't cheap. Maxwell reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. It was plain white with just his name and a phone number. I have some connections in that field, he said, placing the card on the counter. If you're interested, I might be able to point you toward some scholarship opportunities. Lily picked up the card, reading the name. Her eyes widened slightly. Maxwell Graham, As in Starlight Industries? Maxwell nodded once. Call that number next week. Ask for Susan, my assistant. Tell her I suggested you get in touch about our engineering internship program. Lily stared at the card, then at Maxwell. Why would you do this for me? You don't even know me. I know enough, Maxwell replied simply. I've built my business on recognizing talent when I see it. The way you handled my son's tablet issue shows you have both technical skill and genuine empathy. Those are rare qualities, especially together. Lily looked stunned. I don't know what to say. Just make the call, Maxwell said. The rest will be up to you. He returned to the table where Ethan waited. Ready to go, buddy? Ethan nodded but glanced curiously between his father and Lily, who was still staring at the business card in her hand. As they left the diner, Maxwell felt satisfied. He had followed his instinct, something that had rarely led him wrong in business. Talent could be found in the most unexpected places, and Maxwell Graham never ignored potential when he saw it. Whether Lily would take the opportunity remained to be seen, but he had opened a door that might change her life forever. Lily stared at the phone in her hand, Maxwell Graham's business card on the table in front of her. 3 days had passed since the billionaire had given it to her at the diner. Her small apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the old refrigerator and the occasional car passing outside. Just call, she whispered to herself. What's the worst that could happen? She had searched Maxwell Graham online after her shift that day. The results were overwhelming. Forbes listed him as the 14th richest person in America. Starlight Industries was a technology giant that made everything from phones to medical equipment. And the man had eaten grilled cheese in her diner, twice. With a deep breath, Lily dialed the number. After 2 rings, a professional voice answered. Mr. Graham's office. Hello? Lily said, her voice shaking slightly. My name is Lily Martinez. Mr. Graham told me to call about an engineering internship program. There was a brief pause. Yes, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Graham mentioned you might call. We have an opening for an interview this Friday at 2 p.m. Would that work for you? Lily's heart raced. This was real. Yes, that works. Thank you. Please bring your resume and any project portfolios you have. The security desk will have your name. Dress is business casual. After getting the address and ending the call, Lily sank onto her worn couch. She had exactly 2 days to prepare for an interview at one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Friday came quickly. Lily stood in front of the massive Starlight Industries building in downtown Houston, wearing the only nice outfit she owned. Black pants and a blue button-up shirt she had bought for her community college presentations. Her portfolio was tucked under her arm, containing her designs and class projects. The security guard checked her ID and gave her a visitor badge. 32nd floor, he said. The elevator needs the badge to access it. The elevator ride felt endless. When the doors opened, Lily stepped into a sleek reception area with the Starlight logo glowing on the wall. A woman with short gray hair approached her. Ms. Martinez? I'm Susan Coleman, Mr. Graham's assistant. Please follow me. Instead of going to an interview room, Susan led her down a hallway to a large office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Maxwell Graham stood looking at a digital display on the wall. He turned as they entered. Lily, thank you for coming, he said, gesturing to a chair. Please, have a seat. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Graham, Lily said, trying to keep her voice steady. Susan, could you ask Ben to join us? Maxwell asked. Susan nodded and left the room. I hope you don't mind, but I've asked our head of adaptive technology to sit in. Your resume is impressive for someone still in community college. Lily blinked in surprise. You've seen my resume? I asked Susan to contact your school after we met, Maxwell explained. Your grades are excellent, but I'm more interested in how you think. A man in his 40s with curly hair and glasses entered the room. Ben Wright, he said, shaking Lily's hand. Head of the AT division. Maxwell gestured to the display on the wall. We're working on a new generation of communication devices for people with mobility challenges. Ben, why don't you bring Lily up to speed on the current roadblocks? For the next 20 minutes, Ben explained the technical issues they were facing with their newest device. As he talked, Lily forgot her nervousness. This was engineering, something she understood. When Ben finished, he looked at her expectantly. "What do you think?" he asked. Lily hesitated, then opened her portfolio. "May I?" she asked, pointing to the digital display. Ben nodded and showed her how to connect her tablet. She pulled up a design she'd been working on in her free time. "I think your approach to the interface might be causing the lag you mentioned. You're processing too many inputs simultaneously." Ben leaned forward, suddenly interested. "Go on. I've been designing something similar for my cousin who has muscular dystrophy. If you create a predictive buffer here," she pointed to a section of the code visible on the screen, "you can prioritize the most likely inputs based on past usage patterns." For the next hour, what was supposed to be a short interview turned into a technical discussion. Ben asked questions and challenged her ideas, but listened carefully to her responses. Maxwell sat quietly, watching the exchange. Finally, Maxwell stood up. "I think we've taken enough of your time today, Lily. Do you have any questions for us?" Lily had almost forgotten this was an interview. "Actually, yes. What exactly would an intern do in the Adaptive Technology Division?" Ben and Maxwell exchanged a glance. "Typically, our interns work on specific projects under supervision," Ben explained. "They learn our systems and contribute ideas where they can. But in your case," Maxwell added, "I think we might create something more specialized." "Ben, what do you think about having Lily work directly with our user testing group?" Ben nodded slowly. "That could work. We need someone who understands both the technical side and the user experience." Lily could hardly believe what she was hearing. "Are you offering me the internship?" "It's competitive," Maxwell said. "We have several candidates, but your perspective is unique. You understand these devices not just as an engineer, but as someone who has watched them being used in real life. The internship includes tuition assistance for the right candidate," Ben added, "and a housing stipend if you need to relocate." Lily sat very still, trying to process what this meant. This wasn't just a job. This was a path to finishing her degree without working double shifts. This was her dream. "We'll be in touch by Monday," Maxwell said, standing to end the meeting. "Susan will show you out." As Lily gathered her things, she noticed a photo on Maxwell's desk that she hadn't seen before. It showed Maxwell with Ethan both smiling on what looked like a boat. "He's a remarkable young man," Lily said, nodding toward the photo. Maxwell's formal demeanor softened slightly. "Yes, he is. Ethan has never let his physical limitations define him. That's what I admire about the work you're doing here," Lily said. "Technology shouldn't just be a band-aid for disability. It should be a bridge to greater independence." Maxwell studied her for a moment. "That's exactly right, Lily. Not everyone understands that distinction." Susan appeared at the door. "Your next appointment is here, Mr. Graham." Lily thanked them both and followed Susan out. As the elevator descended to the lobby, she felt lightheaded. Whatever happened next, her life had already changed. Someone had seen potential in her that she sometimes doubted herself. On Monday morning, Lily was serving breakfast at the diner when her phone rang. She couldn't answer until her break, and the wait was agonizing. When she finally checked her voicemail, Susan's voice was brief and professional. "Ms. Martinez, we'd like to offer you the internship position in our Adaptive Technology Division, starting next month. The details will be in your email. Mr. Graham asked me to add that Ethan is looking forward to seeing you at your new desk. Please call to confirm your acceptance." Lily's hand shook as she called the number back. In the background, the diner continued as always, coffee brewing, orders being called out, customers chatting. But for Lily, the world had suddenly expanded beyond these walls. A single chance encounter had opened a door she'd been trying to reach for years. As she hung up the phone after accepting the position, Lily smiled to herself. Sometimes life changed when you least expected it, even while serving sandwiches at a small diner on the edge of town. 6 months passed quickly for Lily at Starlight Industries. Her small desk in the Adaptive Technology Division had become her second home. Pictures of circuit boards and interface designs covered the walls around her, along with a calendar marking her classes at the University of Texas. The tuition assistance from Starlight had allowed her to transfer from community college to pursue her engineering degree full-time while working at the company. Lily's computer screen showed the latest version of the communication device she was helping develop. The project had grown from an internship assignment to something much bigger. Ben Wright had given her increasing responsibility after seeing her work with the test users. "Morning, Lily," called Ben as he walked past her desk. "How's the new voice modulation coming along?" "Almost there," Lily replied. "The users reported that the previous version sounded too robotic. I've been working on making it more natural." Ben nodded approvingly. "Good. The board presentation is next week. Maxwell wants to see a full demonstration of all features." As Ben walked away, Lily felt a flutter of nervousness. Presenting to the board meant showing her work to some of the most powerful people in the tech industry. Her mind flashed back to her days at the diner, serving coffee and sandwiches. Sometimes it still felt unreal that she was here. Later that afternoon, Lily was in the testing lab working with Kyle, one of their regular test users. Kyle had cerebral palsy similar to Ethan Graham's and had been helping test the new device for months. "Try the eye tracking again," Lily suggested. I adjusted the sensitivity. Kyle focused on the screen, using his eye movements to select icons. The device responded much more smoothly than before. "Better," Kyle said through the device. "Still lags on the right side of the screen." Lily made a note on her tablet. "I'll fix that tonight. How does the voice sound?" "Less like a robot, more like me," Kyle replied, grinning. As they continued testing, the door to the lab opened. Maxwell Graham walked in with Ethan in his wheelchair. Lily hadn't seen them since her third week at Starlight, when Maxwell had briefly checked in on her progress. "Mr. Graham, Ethan, hello," Lily said, standing up quickly. "We weren't expecting you today." "Just thought we'd stop by to see how things are progressing," Maxwell said. Ethan wanted to check out the latest prototype. Kyle turned his wheelchair to face the newcomers. "Hey, Ethan," he said through his device. The two young men had met during previous testing sessions and had become friendly. "Kyle's been helping us refine the eye tracking," Lily explained, gesturing to the equipment. "Would you like to see what we've done?" For the next 20 minutes, Lily demonstrated the new features they had developed. Ethan tried the prototype himself, offering his own feedback through his current device. Maxwell watched, silently, his eyes moving between the technology and the easy way Lily interacted with both Kyle and Ethan. "What about that idea you mentioned last time?" Maxwell asked finally. "The customizable voice patterns?" Lily hesitated. "That's still in early development. I wasn't planning to include it in the board presentation." "Why not?" Maxwell pressed. "It's not ready," Lily admitted. "The algorithm needs more work and we haven't tested it thoroughly." Ethan typed on his device. "I want to hear it," the electronic voice said. Lily looked at Ben, who had joined them in the lab. He nodded his approval. "It's on my development server," Lily said, quickly typing commands on the computer. "The basic idea is that instead of everyone using the same electronic voice, users could customize the voice to match their age, regional, accent, or personal preference." She pulled up a program and adjusted some settings. "This is just a rough demo, but..." She pressed a button, and a voice came through the speakers. "Hello, my name is Kyle." The voice was still clearly electronic, but it had subtle inflections that made it sound more natural, more like a young man from Texas. Kyle's eyes widened. "That sounds like what I hear in my head when I think," he said through his current device. Lily nodded. "That's the goal. We analyzed recordings of people with similar backgrounds, age, region, education, and created a voice profile that might more closely match what you would sound like." She turned to Ethan. "We could do the same for you. The voice wouldn't be exactly yours, but it would be more you." Ethan's face showed clear excitement. He typed quickly. "When can I try it?" "It's not ready for users yet," Lily cautioned. "There are still bugs to work out." Included in the board presentation, Maxwell said suddenly. This could be the feature that sets our device apart from everything else on the market. Ben looked concerned. Lily's right. It's not fully tested. The board expects polished features. The board expects innovation, Maxwell countered. They understand the difference between a finished product and a groundbreaking concept. He turned to Lily. Can you have a demonstration ready by next week? Lily thought about the long hours it would take. Yes, I think so, but it won't be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be revolutionary, Maxwell said. And this is. He checked his watch. Ethan and I need to go. We have a doctor's appointment. Keep up the good work, all of you. After they left, Ben approached. Lily, you've just been given a big opportunity. Maxwell doesn't usually take such a direct interest in development projects. I know, Lily said. But why this one? Ben smiled slightly. Maybe because it's personal. For all his business success, Maxwell's greatest concern has always been Ethan's quality of life. The week before the board presentation was the most challenging of Lily's career so far. She worked late into the night, refining the voice modulation program and preparing her demonstration. On Wednesday night, she fell asleep at her desk and was awakened by the cleaning staff at 2 a.m. The morning of the presentation arrived with Lily feeling nervous but prepared. She waited outside the boardroom with Ben reviewing her notes one last time. Don't worry so much, Ben said. You know this technology better than anyone. That's what scares me, Lily admitted. If I can't, explain it well. No one will understand why it matters. The boardroom doors opened and Susan stepped out. They're ready for you, she said. The long table was surrounded by serious-looking men and women in expensive suits. Maxwell sat at the head of the table with 2 empty chairs beside him. He gestured for Lily and Ben to sit there. Ladies and gentlemen, Maxwell began. Today we're reviewing the progress on Project Voice, our next-generation communication device for users with speech and mobility challenges. Ben Wright, our head of adaptive technology, and Lily Martinez, our lead developer on this project, will present the key features. Lily felt a jolt of surprise at being introduced as lead developer rather than intern, but she kept her expression professional. As Ben began the general overview, she set up her demonstration. When it was her turn to speak, Lily looked around the room and took a deep breath. 6 months ago, she had been serving food at a diner. Now she was presenting groundbreaking technology to some of the most powerful people in the industry. The journey had been unexpected, but as she began explaining her work with clear confidence, she knew one thing for certain. A chance encounter had changed her life forever, and she wasn't going to waste the opportunity. 2 years had passed since Lily first served Maxwell and Ethan at Home Plate Diner. Today, she stood on a stage at the National Adaptive Technology Conference in Chicago, preparing to introduce Starlight's newest product to the world. The audience was filled with engineers, healthcare professionals, and families of people with disabilities. Lily wore a simple blue dress rather than the waitress uniform she had once worn every day. Her hair was neatly styled, and a Starlight Industries badge hung around her neck. But the biggest change wasn't in her appearance, it was in her confidence. Behind the stage, Maxwell spoke quietly with Ben Wright as they waited for the presentation to begin. Ethan sat nearby in his wheelchair, using the new device they were about to unveil. Kyle, who had become a full-time consultant for Starlight, sat next to him. Nervous? Maxwell asked Lily as the event coordinator signaled 5 minutes until showtime. A little, Lily admitted. But excited too. We've worked so hard on this. You've worked hard, Maxwell corrected her. This is your project, Lily. You deserve this moment. The project had evolved dramatically since that board presentation, 2 years ago. What had started as a feature had become an entirely new product line. Lily had finished her engineering degree while leading the development team, and the prototype had become a fully realized device called Voice True. The lights dimmed in the auditorium, and the coordinator motioned for Lily to take her position. As she walked onto the stage, the spotlight found her, and the crowd quieted. Good morning, Lily began, her voice clear and steady. My name is Lily Martinez, and I'm the lead engineer for Starlight's Voice True project. Today, we're introducing a communication device that doesn't just help people speak, it helps them sound like themselves. On the large screen behind her, images appeared showing the evolution of communication devices over the decades. For years, people with speech disabilities have had to use the same electronic voices. Lily continued. These voices didn't reflect who they were, their age, their background, their personality. Voice True changes that. She gestured toward the side of the stage, and Ethan rolled out to join her, with Kyle following behind. The audience applauded as they took their places next to Lily. I'd like to introduce two of our key consultants on this project, Ethan Graham and Kyle Barnes, Lily said. They've been essential to developing Voice True, and they're going to help demonstrate what makes this technology special. Ethan positioned his device and activated the screen. The text appeared as he typed, but instead of the flat robotic voice that most devices used, a natural-sounding young man's voice came from the speakers. Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan Graham. I'm 25 years old, and I grew up in Houston, Texas. This is what my voice might sound like if you could hear me speak. The audience murmured in amazement. The voice had a slight Texas accent and the timbre of a young man Ethan's age. Though still recognizably electronic, it sounded remarkably human. Kyle demonstrated his device next, with a voice that matched his different background and tone. Lily explained the technology as they demonstrated more features. Voice True analyzes thousands of voice samples from people with similar demographic profiles to create personalized voice patterns. Users can adjust characteristics like pitch, speed, and regional accent to match how they imagine their own voice. From the side of the stage, Maxwell watched with pride. The waitress who had fixed his son's tablet at a diner was now leading one of Starlight's most promising initiatives. His instinct about her potential had been more than correct. After the presentation, a reception was held for the conference attendees. People gathered around Lily, Ethan, and Kyle, asking questions and trying the device for themselves. Journalists took photos and recorded interviews. Maxwell stood back, letting Lily handle the attention. Ben joined him, holding 2 glasses of water. He handed one to Maxwell. She's a natural, Ben commented, watching Lily explain a technical detail to a group of engineers. She always was, Maxwell replied. We just gave her the chance to show it. Later that evening, after the crowds had dispersed, Maxwell invited the team to dinner at the hotel restaurant to celebrate. Lily sat next to Ethan, helping him adjust the settings on his device as he tried different voice patterns for fun. Try the British accent, Lily suggested, laughing as Ethan's device spoke, with an exaggerated English accent. Not quite me, Ethan's device said, back in his regular voice setting. As they enjoyed their meal, Maxwell tapped his glass with a spoon to get everyone's attention. The small group fell silent. I want to toast our success today, Maxwell said, raising his glass. The response to Voice True has exceeded our expectations. The first production units will ship next month, and pre-orders are already 3 times what we projected. The team applauded, and Lily smiled with pride. But more importantly, Maxwell continued, I want to acknowledge how far we've come. 2 years ago, Lily was serving tables at a diner in Houston. Today, she's leading breakthrough technology that will change lives. Lily felt her cheeks grow warm at the praise. Starlight Industries has always been about finding the best talent, wherever it may be, Maxwell said. But sometimes the most remarkable people are found in the most ordinary places. He looked directly at Lily. Your journey reminds us all that potential exists everywhere, just waiting for the right opportunity. They raised their glasses in a toast. As conversation resumed around the table, Lily felt a tap on her arm. Ethan was looking at her, gesturing to his device. He typed quickly, and his personalized voice spoke softly. Thank you for making me sound like me, it said. Lily smiled at him. You were always you, she replied. Now everyone else can hear it too. After dinner, Lily stepped outside the restaurant for a moment of quiet. The Chicago skyline glittered before her, so different from the view outside her old apartment window. She thought about the path that had led her here, from community college classes squeezed between double shifts to presenting at a national conference. All because a father and son had chosen her section at a diner, and because Maxwell Graham had seen something in her that others had missed. Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister, now in her second year of college thanks to Lily's support. "Saw you on the live stream, so proud of you, sis." Lily smiled as she typed her reply. The door opened behind her and Maxwell stepped out to join her. "Beautiful night," he said, looking at the city lights. "Yes," Lily agreed. "I never thought I'd be here." "I did," Maxwell said simply. "From the moment you fixed Ethan's tablet without a second thought." "That was just a simple reboot," Lily said with a small laugh. "No," Maxwell replied. "That was the moment I knew you saw my son as a person first, not his disability. That's why Voice True works. Because you understood what was missing." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. "What's next for you, Lily?" Maxwell asked. Finally. Lily looked out at the city, then back at Maxwell. "I have some ideas for children's versions of Voice True. Kids need different voices as they grow up." Maxwell nodded. "Sounds like another project in the making." "Thank you for changing my life," Lily said suddenly, "for seeing potential in me." Maxwell smiled. "You changed your own life, Lily. I just opened a door. You walked through it on your own." As they returned to join the others, Lily knew he was right. A chance encounter had created an opportunity, but what she had done with that opportunity had been entirely up to her, and she was just getting started.